Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the SERMAPod. This is the podcast for the Sports and Entertainment Risk Management Alliance. I'm the founder and CEO of SERMA, Rich Lenkov. I'm also, most of the time, the host of the SERMAPod. And today we're very happy to talk a little bit more about a new strategic partnership that we've just entered into with our friends at NACA, which is the North American Contingency Association. This is a group that we've been involved with, and they've attended a couple of our events. We've attended, actually, our first ever event as an organization was attending NACA a few years ago in Miami. I was really impressed with what I saw, so we got to know some of the folks, and we have entered into a strategic partnership, which we're going to get into right now. So welcome, everyone. Nick, Reggie, and Mallory. Why don't you start off, Nick, and tell us who you are, and then we'll get into what we're doing a little bit further.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Rich. And it has been really great to get to know you guys and your organization. I'm currently the co-president of NACA. My day job is the product leader for U.S. film and entertainment with Beazley. I've also been a contingency underwriter, in this space, almost 2 decades now. And I've been working alongside the brokers, the underwriters, risk managers, insureds, and reinsurance partners that are in sports and entertainment, daily, since I got my degree in sports management. So it's been really great to use that in a career. And as co-president of NACA, I've been lucky enough to have Reggie Miller as a co-president previously and currently with Mallory. So Reggie, if you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll go on.
The other Reggie Miller.
I'm Reggie Miller. I'm an underwriter, and I focus on sports and entertainment, excess and surplus lines market at Rhino Media. I am coming off the NACA board, but I'm really passionate about what NACA does and the people, and I'm really excited about what we can do with SERMA. So thank you so much for having us today.
Awesome. Mallory.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Mallory Taylor. I'm a senior underwriter at Tokio Marine HCC. And like Nick said, I'm his co-president this year on the NACA board. I've spent more than 10 years in the contingency insurance space. And I also focus primarily on sports and entertainment events. I'm in the event cancellation space mostly. So I work on anything from major sporting events, live concerts, some of the biggest music festivals in the world. And primarily I'm working with brokers, but also event organizers, and just making sure that they are covered if anything unexpected happens to their event, whether that means the whole event is canceled, if it's postponed, or if there's really any kind of disruption that could cause a financial loss to them. It's an awesome career. Keeps me kind of within the excitement of the entertainment industry and working on events that I get to go to, or for teams that I'm a fan of. And NACA has been a really big part of my career. I've been a NACA member since 2016. And the members, they're great. The connections that you make through NACA are long-term, life-standing. These are friends and colleagues that I'll have for a very long time. So I'm definitely looking forward to the strategic alliance between SERMA and NACA, because that means you get to make more connections. So we're really excited.
Who are your teams, by the way? You said it allows you to follow some of your teams and be involved. I know you're in Charlestown, Mass. You got to be a Celtics fan.
I am a Celtics fan. Yeah, Celtics fan. Patriots, I am a fan. They're not very good. We'll see what happens this year. I'm excited about the Red Sox right now, unexpectedly. But yeah, New England sports fan for sure.
Well, I despise every New England team except for the Celtics. I'm a huge Celtics fan. I grew up in Montreal and Canada. All of our American channels came from New England. So growing up in the, Larry Bird, McHale, Parrish, short short-era, I was a huge Celtics fan. And in fact, we did here's some proof. I got a ring right up. Last year, before I usually go to a couple of playoff games. Thankfully, as a Celtics fan, we get lots of playoff games. And last year we did a SERMA event actually right before one of the playoff games. It was a lot of fun. We had a great turnout. So welcome as a fellow Celtics fan. So Nick, you can tell before you get into what NACA a little more detail about what NACA is and when it started and what you guys are doing. Tell us, who's your favorite team? You have to pick one of your teams.
Well, I'm a Bay Area native, so I grew up with the Oakland A's, and through their Bash Brothers era, and then I was in college during the big three, the Mulder, Zito, Hudson, the Giambi era, and had wanted to be in the A's organization, thinking that would be my career path. And luckily for me, it didn't work out, because there could not be, I think, a worse owned and managed sports franchise in America right now than the homeless Athletics. And I'd be happy, the Sacramento A's. I'd be happy to join a future SERMAPod that discuss specifically how not to run a baseball team as they're currently doing. So,
well, as a Bass Brother fan, I don't know if you can see behind me, there's a poster for a show that I actually produced in Vegas a couple of years ago called Renegades. And our concept was we would have bad boys of sports on stage telling their story. Actually, a few years before the whole trend of every athlete having a podcast, we had a live production at Caesar's Palace, and one of our principals was Jose Canseco telling, all the untold stories of what happened back in those days, things that didn't quite, come out. So I can tell you off air some interesting stuff about some of those stories. But anyway, tell us more about NACA and your involvement and sort of what you're trying to accomplish before we get into our collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, and contingency is, as a title for an industry can be, really, kind of vague. So what does that mean? What we're looking at is, specialized insurances that are not, typically in your standard coverage type. So property, marine, casualty, financial lines, those are really covered by, a lot of insurance companies worldwide. Contingency products really fall outside of that. Started in London market, like a lot of specialty products do, and still really driven by the Lloyd's of London market. But what we're talking about is, as Mallory touched on, event cancellation, for events. Every concert, sporting event, trade show, conference, your state fairs down to your county fairs, all have an exposure to losses of revenue and extra expenses due to, postponement, abandonment, cancellation. And that's what the contingency market's there for, as well as non-appearance. So we talk about sports teams, talk about artists making their dates, making sure that death, accident, illness, travel delay, making sure that they show up on time. And if not, the event organizers can make those ticket holders, whole who didn't get to go to the event. Or if the event, got canceled outside of that artist's, control, that they still get paid, because this, they blocked off their calendar to go to New York. They're expecting to get paid a lot of money. Something happens, they still want to get paid. If the event organizers can't do it, the contingency market does it. And it goes from there. Transmission, failure. If a feed goes down and people can't watch the event, prize indemnity. You see hole-in-one insurance. Big game shows that comes out of the contingency market. Contract bonus, over redemption. Weather insurance. So for events, same thing. You have a parametric weather trigger to help event organizers be made whole when their event has a loss. That's the contingency market. Disgrace insurance, really these esoteric coverages. And we do put, we do cater to kind of the TV and film production world as well. So you're talking about cast coverage, property coverage. If there's a civil authority shutdown or imminent peril that makes it so that you need to get cast and crew out of there, where do you as a producer go to be made whole for those losses and those extra expenses? It's this contingency market of insurers and underwriters.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think you're right. Most people haven't heard of this line of insurance, even veteran people in my field. But it's really logical when you think about it's so common that there are contingencies that come up that interfere with these events. Mallory, it seems like it's more urgent than ever to have this type of insurance, given all of the potential interferences with productions, right? You've got everything from weather, as Nick mentioned, to, active shooting risks, right? To protests, to especially overseas. There's so many factors. An issue that is more relevant than ever.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, this state of the world makes it really important to get contingency insurance. COVID, I think, highlighted the importance of event cancellation in particular. Obviously, we experienced a pandemic wherein every single event in the world was canceled. And so suddenly it was in the media, it was in the news. People are thinking about, wow, I will lose a lot of money if I have to cancel my event. And then coming out of COVID, the last few years especially, we've seen events grow exponentially because people are, over the past few years, have been so excited to get back out there and go to these events. And so some of these live events, both sporting events, but especially live music, the revenues and the size of these events have grown so much that the financial exposures are huge. And then in parallel with that, we've seen catastrophic weather in the past few years become so problematic, whether it's, hurricanes, wildfires, luckily not really in the US yet, but earthquakes worldwide. Flooding obviously has been an issue, tornadoes, hailstorms. We've seen all of these weather events becoming more prominent and just kind of showing how important this insurance is to have.
Absolutely. And that's, a lot of the content that we've been covering in SERMA since we started about 5 years ago has dealt with some of those events and, some of the contingencies that you're speaking of. So I think the collaboration is very timely. Reggie, so how does that play into the organization? What kind of content do you provide? What kind of events? Tell us about, again,
I have experience as both a weather and a contingency underwriter, and I actually am now in the on the GL side of things. So I offer commercial general liability policies along with excess, high excess, liquor liability. We cover festivals, big music events, big games, things like of that nature. I'm covering the GL on those big events.
Gotcha. So Nick, what kind of events and what kind of content does NACA generally put on?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the main driver of this community is our annual conference. So we have over 500 members, kind of annually and throughout one main conference year. We'll have over 400 of them attend. We get together a couple of days. We pick a location that is, climate appropriate for May. And, out of those 400 members, we get about a third come out from the London market. So those are your insurers and your reinsurers from London and Europe. And then we get underwriters, brokers coming out from the US and Canada to meet up. We do a couple of days of sessions. So we try to make sure, have that educational component. We're together, that share some ideas. Let's talk about emerging trends. You brought up deadly, weapons, active assailant. We had a session this year just talking about how events can benefit from having an active assailant, a deadly weapons protection type policy, but also the services of what to look for there. Talk about weather and what are the trends, what are we looking for. We usually have lawyers and underwriters talk about what they're seeing, what to look for in wordings, how to provide your clients with best service and best wording possible. And the main thing is that it's social, right? It's getting us together for a couple of days where we can take meetings, see each other in social events, get insurers and brokers together. You'll have claims adjusters and lawyers there talking about some things that really gives us a chance to get together. You make those connections and then you have someone to call. Hey, I got this risk that I didn't know who to go to a week ago, but now that I've been to NACA and I talked to somebody at a cocktail party, or I got invited to this insurer's event, I now know this market is somebody who wants to look at this risk. Or I've now taken a new product that I would like to get placed for my clients around to a bunch of London underwriters, and I've gotten them interested in this. And now I can bring a new product into market thanks to, being there with those people and collaborating for a couple of days.
It's funny because I'm sure I pity the poor person on the other end of your contract negotiations when you're negotiating for a venue, when they come to that event cancellation clause in the contract. Little do they know who's on the other side.
It's and Mallory touched on it with the pandemic, and I think as as event organizers ourselves, right? We're organizing this event, right? We're contracting hundreds of thousands of dollars of spend, hundreds of hotel rooms, if not 1,000 hotel rooms. And, there's force majeure clauses involved in that. And we got to see that firsthand because we were supposed to have a conference in May of 2020. And the hotel said, hey, you paid this deposit, you owe us this money. And luckily we had some of the best contingency lawyers in the market on the board at that time. And, we're able to make it work where we were able to reschedule and change the terms of the contract in the way that we needed. But that does give us, as underwriters, brokers, and lawyers in the industry, that little bit of insight where we're acting as an insured, as the organizers of an event. It kind of humbles us a bit because you do realize how much work it does take to make sure that 400 people get fed, 400 people have something to drink and the times that they want it, 400 people are in a hotel room that is safe and comfortable for them. And you need to know that, I think, on that experience level to excel as an underwriter or a broker working with, the largest organizations in the world.
Yeah, and that's all well said. Reggie and Mallory, you're veterans of these events. One of our goals always for SERMA events, and we're planning our sort of 4th annual tentpole event in New York in the early spring, coming off a really successful event in Los Angeles. One of our goals is to keep the events small, intimate, very accessible. We all are veterans of really large conferences where you're literally just running around trying to find people. It's very hard to do so at a large conference. I know from having attended a couple of NACA events that you've got the same mindset, right? You want people to come there, be able to network, actually talk to people, leave with a couple of good relationships, take some meetings. So talk to us about sort of the vibe of the typical NACA annual event.
Yeah, we do tend to keep it, small in the realm of conferences, but it's actually growing quite a bit. Like Nick said, I think last year we had over 400 members attend, which was incredible. But it's still a size that's very manageable in terms of, we can get everybody in one big room. We have cocktail hours where everyone has their badge and you can see where they work, what they do, where they live. And, you can go up to someone that you don't know and say, oh, you're from the Bay Area. I'm from the Bay Area. And you get to talking about, what one another does. And to Nick's earlier point, if you have a client in your head, if you're a broker and you think I haven't been able to figure out a solution to this risk that they have, and all of a sudden this random person that you're talking to at the NACA conference has a perfect solution for you. So yeah, keeping it small, relatively small, is beneficial for everyone, I think. But still being able to kind of get everybody from the kind of 3 pillars of the contingency space being underwriting, claims and reinsurance all together is just so beneficial for everyone.
We also offer one of our sessions that we've had in the past that I find really helpful is kind of like a speed dating where you go there because you're not really familiar with a lot of the people and you might be new to NACA, and it's a great way for people to mingle and meet each other. And having gone to NACA for the past 10 years, I think I know everyone, but I still go to that speed dating every year, and I'm always meeting great new people. And I actually met like some of the people that are from SERMA there. So it's just a really good opportunity. People should utilize it more to talk to the people that they wouldn't normally talk to.
Absolutely. And I know that Scottsdale was a huge success. The next NACA conference will be in Scottsdale. Beautiful hotel, the W, if I'm correct, right?
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah.
When's that going to be, and when can people sign up and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah, so we're going to be hosting the next NACA at the W Scottsdale. There's actually a couple of hotels right down the street that are also hosting hotel rooms to make sure that we can have, all of these people all in the same kind of walkable distance. It's May 5th through 7th. We've got an amazing golf tournament actually lined up, so I think we're looking to sell that out. Mallory, where did you get us set up?
We've got our NACA golf tournament at TPC Scottsdale this year.
Yeah, so that's
Be
it's a
beautiful
little
afternoon.
beautiful afternoon. It's going to be we typically have golf tournaments really early in the morning. This one's going to be in the afternoon, so we have a little bit of time to wake up and recover from the previous day and hit the links and have some food, and then at the same time as we do a golf tournament every year, there's still another 2/3 of our members that are not participating in that. We've been offering kind of a non-golf, a golf alternative. We've been to the San Diego Zoo. We've done a food and drink tour of Austin and Scottsdale. We're looking at making Stetson hats or going around town and kind of eating and getting a little bit there. Some of these folks are flying for 10, 15 hours. Some people this may be their only chance to Scottsdale. Give them a chance to kind of enjoy Scottsdale and not just spend the whole time at a cocktail party and in their room and in a session room. So that's what that kind of intro day entails. And then we're having our 2 kind of evening social cocktail hours at the Scottsdale kind of pool deck area, and that's where a lot of the connections are going to be made. We've got some good conference space for our sessions, really looking for the SERMA community to be involved in those, because I think there is a lot of expertise and a lot of in that risk management space. I mean, I listened in on your webinar yesterday about sports and events and organizing those things, and those type of speakers getting the chance to talk to the underwriters and the brokers that are the NACA community is incredibly helpful. A lot of that yesterday was based on safety. How do we make these events safer? How do we make sure that these keep happening and that organizers can have these events? And talking to that group of underwriters really helps these risk managers to let everybody know what they do.
Yeah, our event yesterday, our webinar it was one of our best attended events really ever. We had folks from the Pittsburgh Pirates, PNC Park, and from the Broncos discuss some exactly the stuff we're talking about, contingency events that might interfere with events at their parks. But yeah, we're super excited to partner with you. We are going to have a presence, of course, at Scottsdale. We're really thrilled to do that. And, everyone should stay tuned for more announcements because we are just at the beginning of this relationship. But, we've all discussed some really fun and interesting collaborations that we're going to be exploring, things like perhaps doing an event in London together. That's one of our goals. As we expand, we've got lots of great members overseas, and one of our goals in the next year is to get to London and have an event there. So I know we're talking about that. Some additional content. So everyone should stay tuned. They should check out NACAonline.com. Follow them on social media. Follow us at theserma.org. Join up our respective organizations. And we're really excited. I know whoever's dog is very excited.
I'm so sorry if you can hear her. She's going crazy. There's so many people above me are moving out.
I
have the door closed.
What's that dog? See him.
Oh my gosh.
Let him in. It's okay.
No. It's too crazy.
What's her name?
Her name is Copley.
Copley?
Yeah, like Copley Square.
Nick, you got a dog?
No, but funny enough, my son is Davis after Davis Square, so maybe my son Davis and her dog Copley can become some power duo of Boston locations.
Reggie,
love it.
Mine is
named after a
like
square.
Shepherd.
What is it? Oh,
Cute.
German Shepherd, I assume.
Mini Aussie Shepherd.
Nice. Well, listen, thank you so much for joining us on the SERMAPod. We're super excited. Again, it's NACAonline.com. Great organization. Stay tuned for announcements for some great collabs between SERMA and NACA. And we will continue to see you on our content. And we will see you in Scottsdale in May.
100%.
Nick,
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
thank you so much.
Thanks, Rich.